Nigeria Union of Teachers, NUT, has directed teachers nationwide to down tools and begin an indefinite strike should the police arrest the Nigeria Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero. Now, you'd recall that the Intelligence Response Team, arm of the Nigerian Police Force, NPF, had on Monday, August 19, invited Ajaero for questioning over criminal conspiracy, terrorism, financing, treasonable felony, subversion, and cybercrime. The Deputy Commissioner of Police, in a letter of invitation, said Ajaero should appear at the IRT office on August 20, warning that he would be arrested if he failed to honor the invitation. But however, NUT, in a circular to state wings nationwide by its President and Acting Secretary General Audu Amba and Abdullahi Mohammed, respectively, asked teachers to prepare for industrial action. The Congress considers the act of harassment and intimidation as an attempt by the police to stifle the voice of the working people as represented by the leadership of the Congress. Consequently, the NEC and the NLC met and resolved to, amongst other things, direct all affiliates and state councils to immediately commence the process of mobilizing their members across the nation, as the Congress would not hesitate to take all necessary actions to protect the integrity and the independence of the labor movement. And in the light of the above, the NUT has directed the state wings of the union to mobilize all their teachers and be on standby should the president of the NLC be arrested by the police. Lots of allegations here and there by the NLC to the police, and then to the from the police to the NLC. Some people channel it to linking it to the protest, some other people linking it to some other activities that have happened before now. But I'd like to get your thoughts on this one, Mufasa.
I quite understand the position of the NLC. I know in labor there's what they call solidarity, and if threatening strike is a way to call the attention of government regarding what I would call suppressive kind of arrangement, because I believe during the protest, or within or after the protest, we had in the news that the Secretariat of the NLC, National Secretary of the NLC, was raided by policemen. And the police came out to tell us that they weren't targeting the NLC, their offices, that they were after a certain individual who resides within the premises. Then, in no distant time, we saw that the NLC chairman has been invited for terrorism charges and all the charge that you read out to us today. But let us look at the timing and the modus operandi of these governments. Now, assuming without conceding, because I know that nobody is above investigation as far as the law of the land is concerned. Globally, you can investigate anybody. But how come it's happening now? What could have preempted, what could have necessitated the sudden, invitation and wanting to probe the NLC chairman in such a time when Nigerians, or a vast majority of Nigerians, are seeing this government as a suppressive government, as a government that is trying to stifle, is trying to gag the people, trying to suppress, agitations, both on the part of labor and the part of the people. And you are bringing this kind of move now. What do you expect the people to, to think? Because whether we like it or not, perception is everything. And already the body language of this government suggests that you don't even want the people to speak against the government. Now we are seeing that you are inviting the NLC chairman for terrorism in this country. A certain organization brought out lists of possible sponsors of terrorism in this country, where you have the likes of Tukumamu and some other persons. Up to this moment, as we speak, the Nigerian government has not come out to tell us how far they've gone in that investigation. The last time I checked, Tukumamu is still with the DSS, good and fine, but what is happening there? Has he said anything? They've not told us. So how come Joe Ajaero, all of a sudden, has been invited for terrorism financing, cyber crime, and all of that. See, my sister, if they have evidences that points to him, and they think now is the time to present it, perhaps, maybe after this investigation and trial and all of that, we are going to say a complete stop to terrorism in this country. Good and fine. But like I've said before, this government has continuously proven to Nigerians, this same government led by President Muhammadu Buhari, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that led a protest in 2012. This is a leader who in 1993, 1994, during the Nadeco era, was a full-time activist. What has changed? Does it mean that the moment you moved from the passenger seat to the driver's seat, your view of the road now begin to change? So for me, this pattern of trying to come for anybody that is not in tune with the government, it's undemocratic, it is despotic, and it is unacceptable if you want to consider what democracy entails. So for me, conclusively, I want to say that if they don't want this country to be thrown into chaos, because the NUT, they are threatening strike, ASU is threatening strike, some other affiliate labor centers are threatening strike, and you could imagine what that can do to an economy that is already, you know,
they already vowed to shut down the economy.
Exactly.
If Ajaero
is arrested unduly, because they said if he does not present himself on or before, I think it's today, 21st or so, and the man
it was Tuesday.
And the man has said that it will not be shot until on the 29th of this month, because he has engagement. So if they go ahead to arrest him, then I think, you know, the government will make it easy for people to
he actually said that through his lawyers. So
of course, due process.
So let's see how that goes.
That is how it should be.
But then should the time matter if they actually have evidence against him? Should the timing really be considered? Let's hear your thoughts on this story. Okay.
Well, I like to commend my brother who first of all said nobody is above the law. Nobody is also above police invitation. Invitation does not mean arrest. Invitation does not mean harassment. It does not mean detention. There is a credible security intelligence, as you know, made public by the Nigerian police force, that there is a criminal activity going on from the labor house, and they are in search of a particular person whom they have said is a global threat. His activities are can't guarantee the safety and the security of Nigeria and Africa and the world at large. Now, apart from the issue of terrorism, alleged towards this man, they also talk about his activities in cybercrime, and also activities that has to do with the felony or the treason or thereabout. These are very weighty allegations.
Terrorism financing.
That even the Labour Congress president ought to be interested to see that this issue that police has alleged is properly investigated, because it has to do with our national security. So I don't think that NLC so quickly, NUT, when children are preparing to resume, teachers are preparing to resume from the long holiday, all they could pass across is to say, get your shoe dusted, get ready, your lesson notes should not be prepared. What you should be preparing is to go for strike. I don't really understand that kind of horrid statement. I want to feel that most of
because they see a sabotage.
Let me come. You see, police investigation. If, for instance, now the NLC president was invited, right, and then detained unlawfully, then at that point, NLC and every affiliate member can say, no, this is injustice. Our leader cannot just be detained unlawfully. Why will our leader be harassed?
That's the same thing you're saying. That's the same thing.
It has not gotten to that.
They're not going on protest yet.
And they're
saying until that happens.
Good. Now, if on the verge of reporting himself to the police, and the police have said there are corresponding documents that are relating to him, possibly because the man is a tenant at the NLC secretariat. So I want to believe that if there is nothing fearful or indicting, the NLC president should present himself to the police.
Talking about him as a tenant in the NLC secretariat, are you making reference
to the person the police is suspecting to be a criminal in that place?
And has any name been mentioned?
Now, for me, I want to believe that NLC, NUT is not also abnormal. They know why they are saying that members should prepare for strike. Good thing the NLC president has consulted his attorney's lawyer, and the lawyer have equally written. I do not know the grounds of saying that he will not be available on that 20th, maybe possibly on head grounds.
He said he has activities that were already scheduled for that
when
day.
he says activity, you are speaking as if you are above the law. This is national security. We must condemn what is wrong. If it has to do with the only place where the law exempts you is on health grounds. So if the NLC president is telling us that he has a health issues that he needs to attend to, the law gives him that waiver. But for you to say that you have activities,
he did it through his lawyer. No, so if it wasn't legal, his lawyer would have advised him otherwise.
Whatsoever the lawyer is saying, lawyers are not perfect. Every lawyer will tell you, the lawyer will advise you, sometimes will write what you want him to write because he's representing you. Most lawyers will not advise their client very well. Most will do. So I'm always saying that for the sake of our national security, which is what the police alleged, it has nothing to do with the protest. If they said because of the protest that you were a sponsor of that bad governance protest, would have said they are trying to witch hunt him. But the allegations surrounding him, these are highly criminal activities. And they are not even saying that he is a culprit that is involved. They are only saying that somebody that is alleged, there are evidences that are linking to him in transactions.
And people are asking, where did all of this come from? All of a sudden.
You see,
this is happening.
You see, if tomorrow, but when they said the Mr. President did not attend a particular school in US during the campaign time, people said they were trying to witch hunt him because he was trying to vie for the position of the president. So the police has a right to assess any place where there is suspicion of criminal activities without even a court order. The law gives them that privilege and that right. So I want to feel that the Labour House was being invaded like this. The police confirmed that it's about 10th floor building. So the Labour office is housed either in floor 3, the 3rd floor thereabout. So what the people are, that the Labour House is, the office is on the 10th floor rather. And then the 3rd floor where they went was where this tenant was occupying. So I want to say that the Labour president, we are with you, we are not against you. But for the sake of our national security, the police have alleged some activities of terrorism, some activities that are not healthy to our national life. I want to encourage you to submit yourself with your lawyer.
He already is going to do that.
Yes, so I want to say that he should submit himself. And then the police also that we know, we want to encourage that they should conduct this activity in a more professional way. And at the end of the day, we want to see the truth from the Nigerian police, the truth from the NLC president, because it is an act or a statement that has to do with our national security life. So nobody is sacred when it has to do with our security as a country.
You know, Professor asked a question earlier when you talked about the raid and the fact that if any name was actually mentioned by the police, talking about the actual place that they were headed towards, that concerning that particular situation. And if no name was mentioned, do you think the NLC are out of place to actually feel like the police were actually coming after George?
You see, in fact, you are the one that is supposed to inform us if there's a name, because you are into the information industry. But
that's not the question. That's not the question I asked you. That's not the question I asked.
The question you are saying, yes. Who is this individual?
No, I'm not asking. How can I ask you who the individual is? No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, listen to the question. Are the NLC out of place to actually feel like the police were coming for Joe Ajaero when they did not hear any name being mentioned by the police?
Even if they are coming for him, there's nothing wrong. If the police says, allege that there is an activity of conspiracy, there's an activity of criminality in a particular individual, there is nothing wrong for the police to invite you. The only thing that is wrong is if you are unlawfully detained, if the activities of the police is unprofessional. After all, he's entitled to his lawyer, which he has already secured one. So I want to say that for anybody to say or feel that he should not subject himself for police invitation, no. Because this is a statement or an allegation that has to do with our national security.
Sorry, Ambassador, I have not really heard anybody say that Joe Ajaero should not submit himself for investigation or questioning to the police. The story is talking about the NUT, and not just the NUT now, the NLC who have also said that they're going to shut down the economy if Joe Ajaero is arrested. But let me find out if Mufasa would like to answer that.
You know what, personally, I understand what national security is, and I'm also aware that nobody has been mentioned. The so-called occupants of that building has not been made public by the security operatives. I've been in this country since they started this whole drama, and no name has been mentioned yet. And for me, that is, completely worrisome. And let me equally use the opportunity to say that for the fact that we operate a democracy, some of these, activities of the police and agents of government suggest what could be seen in a military era. I mean, we are not in a police state. You understand what I'm saying? If the man has been invited, you should give the man adequate time to come and answer to your invitation. And the man has said that on that day, I won't be chanced. And he has spoken through his lawyer. What raises all does is when you begin to threaten arrest. That suggests all the trappings of a despotic kind of government. This is a democracy, for crying out loud. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the man in question, they are saying that is a threat to national security and all of that. I just mentioned that recently, a reputable organization brought out names of possible terrorism financing in this country. And I mentioned one name that is on that list. The name is Tukumamu. And we are talking about national security, and those people, they've not reel those people out and tell us what they are doing to investigate those people. All of a sudden, Joe Ajaero has now become a threat to national security. Let us be serious in this country for once. Because what I'm saying is that they are playing games with visually everything in this country. They are playing games with security. They are playing games with the economy. They are playing games with the lives of Nigerians. If you have evidences to show that this man is financing terrorism, is involved in, let Nigerians know. What? I'm coming, excuse me. I heard you the time. Let Nigerians know. We are not in a military era. Whatever you think you know, present it before the public, and let us not so forget that man has his own rights, as guaranteed by the constitution of this country. That's why I said we are not in a police state, because the first thing the military do when they come into government is to suspend the constitution, which means you don't even have any rights. The man has not said he's not honoring your invitation. He has told you that on that day already he has a schedule.
All right.
He's a public figure. I'm coming. 1 minute. He's a public figure. And he has said to his lawyer that on the 29th, I'm not running away from this country. On the 29th, I will appear before you and let us see those transactions that suggest that I'm a terrorist or I'm financing terrorism in this country. But when you begin to say, if he doesn't appear before time, you are going to arrest him, and he's a labor leader, who does that for crying out? He's a labor. He's not just an ordinary Nigerian. He's a labor leader. You know what labor is? They don't try in other countries, because you're going to wake up the sleeping dogs, because it's already the politics overheated. People are agitating, and you want to arrest a labor leader for trumped up charges, and you are expecting the affiliate bodies like the NUT, NS, and not to come out to. They must do that. It is in solidarity. Above all, above all, I think the Nigerian government should understand that the people are beginning to see this government as a suppressive government. And if that continues, do you know what perception could do to a system? If it continues, my sister, our democracy is going to be on a tipping slope. And that isn't what we want going forward as a.
All right, Ambassador, before we move on.
Well, I would like to say that, one, the Labour president do not have immunity, like a governor or a president. Number two, I've equally seen where high-profile Nigerians are invited by anti-graft agencies with a date and threat of arrest. So the NLC president is not the first and will not be the last. So I would like to say that what we can do with the NLC president, one, I'm glad that he has agreed to subject himself to the police invitation. He should do that for the sake of our national security. And number two, every one of us that are in solidarity with him, we can accompany him on the day of that invitation. So I don't think anything is wrong. It's not that the government is trying to suppress any person. If there is a credible information that will lead to our national security, I don't think it will be should be taken for a joke. So I think the Nigerian police force have never said that he has been convicted. They only said there are information surrounding him and a particular tenant of the NLC building. So I think, subject yourself, let us see how it goes. So, but the only place where Nigerians or comrades will be angry is when it looks as if it's just a mere harassment or indictment, or they just try to cook up a story just to suppress the NLC.
And we don't know about that
so
yet.
For now, so we cannot
the
preempt.
Evidence
yes,
is
exactly. So
submitted.
when investigation is going on, you do not, subvert investigation by sentiment or by your personal wishes or by your position. No. It has to do with the security of Nigeria, and we believe that even if it's Mr. President that is alleged, he has to also clear up himself. So the NLC president has no immunity, and we believe that even if he has immunity, as far as it has to do with our national security, he has to do the needful. And we have also said that the police must conduct this particular activity in a very professional way, and also understanding that Nigerians are watching, comrades are watching. So, but the president must subject himself to that invitation.
All right, thank you so much for your thoughts on that one. Let's look at ASU now.